Hello, welcome back to this episode of the Light Path podcast with Kirsten Leo. I am Kirsten Leo. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode to spend your time, hopefully, in this space of deep reflection, transformative, hopefully, conversations, or at least curiosity and thought-provoking ones. Because today I want to challenge a notion or the notion of the hero's journey. I think we're dictated to a lot from society, from, I guess, the narrative or the experience of others, that going through things in life or going after what it is that we want really has to be hard and fought for. And I really want to challenge that. I think I want to challenge that for a number of personal reasons. But I think I also want to challenge that for a number of conversations that I've been having on the podcast and with people in my life about how really we get to choose how life happens, how we approach life, and really the narrative and how that feels to us, because we are in a deep creative space with ourselves, creating the life that we do want to live. And I think the hero's journey is something that I've personally very much fallen for, or I would say maybe subscribed to quite heavily in my past, in that this notion of this popular narrative or framework that shapes our understanding of what it means for personal growth or to find fulfillment, what it means to go after something that is new or different or seems maybe a little bit unattainable or new, transformation, healing, whatever it is you want to call it. I really want to break up with the idea that we have this journey that we have to go on that will require a lot of inner heroic actions. And I wonder if we can maybe begin to create some space in our own narratives, in our own perceptions, and therefore in our own experience of actually every time we're asked to evolve or change or shift, whether or not our soul is asking that of us, our mind or external circumstances bring that into our experience, that we actually do it because it is fun to be in a creative space. If you've listened to the podcast episode with Zoe Bosco, I highly recommend you go back and listen to that. Where can we expand into the creativity of evolving and the fun and the space that that brings, as opposed to overcoming something? Now, are there times in our lives that it will feel difficult to climb certain metaphorical, emotional, or subconscious mountains in our life, to remove blocks, to change something? Of course, absolutely. But there's also a lot of space for us to enjoy the process of becoming something new and expanding into a new version of ourselves. So let's start with first defining the hero's journey. It's a concept that was really popularized by Joseph Campbell, and it describes a mythic narrative that is structured. It can be found, the structure of the story is found in ancient myths, but it's also very heavily dominated in modern storytelling. And it typically involves a hero who embarks on an adventure, facing challenges, encountering mentors and allies, confronting villains, and ultimately returns completely transformed with this newfound wisdom or this embodied transformation. And while the hero's journey has inspired countless stories, continues to do so, and it really does resonate with people worldwide, I think it's important to recognize some of the limitations of that narrative when we apply it to real life experiences. And the idea that this heroic quest can actually be applied repeatedly in our lives. And like I said, the hero's journey is definitely something that I have adopted in my life. Like I see a destination or I have a desire, and then I will go through all the trials, all the challenges, face the demons, whether they be external or internal, seek the help I need along the way in order to meet that desire or attain that thing that I'm after. And the more and more I expand into and surrender to the healing journey, I realize that the way in which I may have embarked on it at the beginning was very much along the line of this narrative, because I had a clear destination in mind. I loved the idea of triumphing over my adversities or pains, and that I was ultimately gunning for a happily ever after ending that was really just creating unrealistic expectations and a sense of inadequacy and disempowerment that I had on the journey that I had been encountering. Now, this could be because I wanted to achieve a certain, say, anything to do with my work. I had a personal goal, or I wanted to attain something. It might have been I wanted to align with a wonderful partner, or I wanted to transform my body in some way. But ultimately, I think we have to accept that the myth that we need to dispel is the notion that there is this destination fascination that we can all become prey to. And that is the belief, a really strong belief, that happiness and fulfillment in life lie in achieving specific goals, ticking off milestones, or aligning with the thing that we're hoping to call into our lives. And this mindset leads to this constant chase energy, this constant expelling of energy in order to get the thing or achieve the thing, which is often associated with material success or external validation or societal approval. And it overlooks the richness, the empowerment, and the joy of the present moment that it gives us, the knowledge that it gives us, and the process of the growth that it takes to get to this destination that we're fascinated with, self. And I think when we're also very motivated by the destination or by the goal, we absolutely strangle the life force energy out of it, and we become potentially so hyper fixated on it that nothing else matters. So what happens if we don't get it? What happens when we get it and we can't maintain it? And I love the idea of our energetics, that what it is that we are really focusing on, that we need externally or that we desire externally, it's just an opportunity for us to give our power away. Because when we're focusing on it, when we're needing it to fulfill a desire, when we're needing it to fulfill a part in ourselves, we're actually blocking the flow of energy for it to match us as well. And that's why it's very often said, especially in energetic circles, that the surefire way to not get what you want is to really like strangle the life out of it and focus on it. I think you should always be aware of where you're going and what it is you desire. Of course, it's human to desire and it's human to want the next thing. And I think it gives us great information about where our soul is wanting to expand and evolve and explore. But the idea that we have to go through these big trials to get it, and that happiness can only be found in the getting, I think is this destination fascination that we could all probably do with challenging in our life, because life is not a linear path with a predefined destination in mind. And I think when people ask a lot about finding their purpose, this is what we have in mind, that there's one thing that we're supposed to be doing, or that we are constantly having to be on some sort of destination. And that is not necessarily true. By default, we're doing that. So why do we have to try so hard at doing it? And it's this dynamic and ever-evolving journey filled with like twists and turns and setbacks and unexpected blessings and hopes that it will work out. But if we can release the grip of destination fascination that we may have, we can open ourselves up to the beauty of the journey, because it's all about the lessons, the experiences, and the connections and the growth that we have along the way, which is why we talk a lot about it's not about what we want, it's about why we want it and being open to all that it has to teach us. It's not the thing that is the most fascinating. It's who we are called to become because of the desire. If it's a desire for a beautiful romantic partnership, who is it that our soul is asking us to become in order to align with what feels right for us? If it is a new career path or the next step, the most interesting part of that is who it is that we are being invited to expand into in order to literally embody the essence of that role, that responsibility, or whatever it is. If it's a child we wish to birth into this world, who is it that we are being asked to become as a parent? And it isn't in the parenting that we become the parent. We can become that long before we ever hold a beautiful child in our arms. Another myth I think we really need to challenge is the belief that life is a constant struggle or a battle to be won. And I think this is a very consumerism type view of the world that we have been programmed to have. Like, we have to get the new or the best thing to be, say, accepted, or there is only so much limit to go around, and so quick, get in, get yours before anyone else can get theirs. And I just don't believe that is true. No more so than in the dating world. I mean, how often do you hear there are plenty of fish in the sea, yet in the same breath, where are all the good men? That kind of thing. It's just so ridiculous to think that there isn't a million options out there, because there is quite literally a million options out there. And whilst challenges and obstacles are so inevitable in life, I think when we view any type of change or the attainment of a desire solely through the lens of struggle, we can create a mindset unintentionally of resistance, of fear, and most importantly, and very little talked about, exhaustion. Like, are you just exhausted by life as it is? Because we're always constantly looking for that next destination, instead of just being curious about what is next and playful about how to create it. And I think it's crucial to reframe these challenges as opportunities for learning, for maybe building resistance, for personal expansion, growth, development, knowledge, all those things, rather than seeing it as something that we have to endure as the hero would to get to the destination. And I think the true gift of the hero's journey doesn't lie, as I said, in reaching some type of outcome or destination, but the true gift is in the lessons that have been learnt along the way, and that the evolving and the curiosity about the self-expansion for the hero along the way is the gold. That every desire asks something further to be born within you, or maybe released from you. Every challenge or setback or triumph just contributes to the beautiful tapestry of our identity and authenticity, and contributes to growth and our wisdom and our character. It's about embracing the journey itself as opposed to the destination. And I hate that, like, really typical roll your eyes saying it's not the journey, it's the destination, but it's kind of true. So it's about us thinking, okay, if this is what I want, can I actually be in a state of playfulness and co-creation in curiosity in order to align with it, as opposed to addicted to the struggle and the triumph and the ultimate attainment of the destination. So whenever a client sits in front of me and says, I'm really wanting to align with, because we don't say manifest around here, but I'm really wanting to align with or call in a new work opportunity, a new job, a new partner, or a home, or whatever it is, my question's great. That's cherry on top. Who is it that you need to become in order to align with those things? That's the interesting stuff. And even more interesting, who, as a result of this desire, are you being asked to unbecome? And just to give you some little context of how penetrative this, is that a word, penetrative? I think you know what I mean, but how it penetrates into our psyche or our subconscious, the hero's journey is. I want you to consider your favorite movie. Okay. We don't even need to name a movie because I want us all to do this. Consider your favorite movie and see how it is actually just a hero's journey. Character wants something. By the end of the movie, character gets that. Character goes through all these lessons, all these trials. Some people help them, some people harm them, but ultimately there is a sense of triumph at the end. And if not the triumph of the thing, which not too many movies or TV shows have, because then we wouldn't watch them, because we're in love with the hero's journey. But what is the gold or the lesson or the realization of that character? And then think about how you are subconsciously playing that out in your life in any area where you may feel a little bit stuck or addicted to the outcome, as opposed to more curious and playful with the process. So how do we break up with the hero's journey? I think that we mentally, first of all, have to embrace life differently and can see it as this playground of opportunities to expand into authenticity. But here are some, I'm going to give you 5 ways in which you can begin to do this. The first is the power of presence, really cultivating a strong habit of mindfulness of the present moment, savoring each and every moment for exactly how it is and the experiences that it's giving you now, even if you're not particularly enjoying them, but savoring it for what it is, as opposed to delaying that satiation or happiness until the destination is achieved. Because if you are not able to embody full presence now, what makes you think that if you were to attain or reach the destination that you desire, that you're going to be able to just magically fall into presence and enjoy it then? We all know what is going to happen. We are just going to want the next thing or pick it apart for it not being exactly how we imagined or wanting it to be. How many times do you hear, for example, of brides getting really depressed after their wedding because they're so destination focused on that day that their whole life is consumed with the preparation for that day, that afterwards they feel this like drop in dopamine and this lack of direction and purpose because they were so hyper fixated on this one hero's journey moment, when they should be really present in their marriage. It should be like, oh, that was a day, that was ticked off as a day, or that was a phase in my life, a time where I was focusing on planning this wonderful event. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it doesn't mean that this next chapter or phase isn't as enjoyable. And the only thing that can allow us to fall into that is profound presence. The other one is, well, my second tip is one of the highest energetic vibrations that we can hold, especially in the 5D, which is deep gratitude. Practicing gratitude for life exactly as it is now, even if we don't love it. Because if we're not able to cultivate a sense of gratitude for what is, then how are we expected to be grateful for what is when it comes? And if we're not grateful until we get the thing, then don't you think energetically we'll strangle the energy or the authenticity of the energy out of the thing if we get it? Because we won't feel deserving of it, or we'll feel so grateful for it that we'll be worried about it slipping away because this is just a fleeting moment. The third is self-compassion. Now, I think that this is a skill that all of us could do with cultivating and creating more and more in our own lives. That the kindness and compassion that we show to others really should be turned inward towards ourselves, especially when we are going through challenging times, or especially when what it is we desire seems so far off and unattainable, or it makes the current not as enjoyable as it actually should be. And this feeling of giving ourselves a lot of space and grace for being exactly where we are now, because we're so connected to ourselves that we're able to cultivate a sense of deep understanding that everything is churning and turning in perfect order, even when we can't see it or how it's all working together for our higher good. I think if we were all able to give ourselves a little bit more of a break, I think a lot of us would really lay down our hero's journey weapons and just be able to breathe. Almost feels like self-compassion would be the antidote to the addiction of the destination. The fourth is kind of building on this idea, and that is to actually embrace the unknown or uncertainty, because we can't control everything. We can't make everything that we really desire to happen exactly the way we would desire it to happen on exactly our timetable and our agenda. And so the more we are able to trust in the unfolding of our uniqueness and authenticity, the more we are able to enjoy the fact that our storyline is not written. And in fact, our storyline is constantly being rewritten. That in fact, maybe, go to the extreme, there is no script. That the fact that we wake up each and every morning is just an opportunity to play out one act in this metaphorical play of our lives. And so how cool would it be to bring that presence and that gratitude and that self-compassion into embracing uncertainty by waking up every morning and simply asking yourself, girl, what are you going to do with the gift of today? What are you going to do with it? How will you choose to play with it? And finally, my fifth little tip is to celebrate yourself. No matter what is going on, no matter how small the step, no matter how big the achievement, it all deserves acknowledgement of how you've shown up for you, not how the things in your life that you've desire have come into play. So how cool would it be to want the thing that you want? In fact, now, as you're listening to this, tune your mind into the next thing that it is that you desire for yourself. I really want you to think about it. What if I said that the getting it won't feel as good as the expanding into the person that embodies the energy of the emotions of the desire? Because anything that we desire, we only desire it because we think it's going to make us feel good. So what if we gave ourselves full permission to be in this present moment, really grateful for that emotion that we desire, really compassionate that maybe we haven't set up our lives in a way that evokes that emotion as intensely or in the form that we would like, that we embrace the idea that there are many ways in which to feel that emotional state, not just the one in which we're picturing, and that we can celebrate each and every moment that we wake up and do one little thing every day that helps us to align with that energetic vibration of what it is that we want. Gosh, could you imagine if you got even just a week of those days under your belt, how much that would diffuse the power that the hero's journey has over you? That we accept it's going to be hard at times and there'll be challenges to overcome, but that is the exciting bit, not actually getting to the end. And by letting go of this pressure that we put on ourselves to follow a predetermined script or path or achieve societal's expectations of us in terms of success or what is deemed to create happiness for us, that we free ourselves of all that to explore our own parts of authenticity, that it's about honoring our truths and our passions and our values, even if they diverge from the traditional hero's journey narrative. Imagine how life could be. If you've ever read the book, The Alchemist, you will probably love it as much as I do. If you haven't read it, I really, really highly encourage you to do so. But this is a beautiful quote from The Alchemist that I think brings all of this down into a really succinct, beautiful idea. And it goes like this. We are travelers on a cosmic journey, stardust, swirling and dancing in the eddies and the whirlpools of infinity. Life is eternal. We have stopped for a moment to encounter each other, to meet, to love, to share. This is a precious moment. It is a little parenthesis in eternity. Imagine that life is so much more about the destination, that the destination is really nothing compared to the moments that we can have with ourselves and others along the way, that happiness isn't created in the destination, that happiness is found with all the evolving and the play along the way. And I hope that maybe this input has helped you redefine your relationship, or at least question it, with the hero's journey. Because just by being born, you started a journey and you are the hero of this story each and every day. And the desire is just a little direction, a little signpost of what it is that you're hoping to experience and what it is that you are desiring to evolve into next. It is not the destination. Rather, the hero is made in every step along the way towards the true, authentic embodiment of it. As always, love to hear your thoughts on this. But again, if you've not read The Alchemist, I highly suggest you do so. But until we meet next time, thanks for listening. This episode of the Light Path podcast, hopefully shedding a little more light on your path